And welcome back to Stanny Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel and to talk about your favorite horror films and my favorite horror films. I am so pumped to be here on the 4th of July to talk about a movie set on New Year's Eve. I know there are so many movies that we could be talking about, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Uncle Sam, and Drop Dead Gorgeous.
You get your ass up there and show me some teeth!
Even though that's not a horror movie. But we are going to talk about Terror Train, because why not take this back to Jamie Lee Curtis's heyday and talk about a movie set on New Year's Eve in 1980 aboard a train. Before we get into it, please take this opportunity to subscribe and follow me on all social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you guys, this is my little PSA. I hope you have a very safe and happy 4th of July. Do not drink and drive. If you do choose to drink, do that for me because I am sober. So why don't we get into it? I'm gonna have a seat, you have a seat, put on your party hats, grab your train tickets, and let's get on board this baby. There once was a producer named Daniel Grodnick who wanted to make a movie based off of the idea of Halloween, but he wanted to set it over New Year's Eve night, and he wanted to put it on a sleeper train. Daniel was kind of friends with John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and apparently, God knows why, they gave him their blessing, and thus, Terror Train was born. It was filmed in Quebec over the winter of 1979, starring a slew of Canadian unknown actors and Jamie Lee Curtis, who had recently starred in Halloween, who was about to star in The Fog, and also about to star in Prom Night. Terror Train was filmed on a budget of $3.5 million, would be released the following October, although it's set on New Year's, so in my opinion, that's kind of a mishap in itself, and it would rake in just a little over $8 million at the box office. Critics were not super excited about it. Roger Ebert gave it 1 out of 4 stars. One critic called it a neat name, but nothing movie. But some critics called it stylish, scary fun, and said it managed to have some gripping moments towards the last. It holds a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a lot better than Pet Sematary 2, but I think that's baffling because Pet Sematary 2 is a far better movie. Anyway, let's get into it. Terror Train is about a group of college kids and a prank that goes horribly awry on New Year's Eve their freshman year towards Kenny. And this prank is pretty grisly. Nobody gets hurt necessarily, but Kenny ends up in a mental hospital after suffering a nervous breakdown. We jump cut to these college kids who are now celebrating New Year's Eve, close to graduation, and they are boarding a sleeper train. We have Alana, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who is at this point a blossoming scream queen in her own right. Her boyfriend Mo, played by cutie Timothy Weber. His boyfriend Doc, played by Hart Bachner. I'm kidding, they're not really boyfriends, but the way they interact with each other throughout the entire movie, you would think otherwise. The rest of the characters really don't matter, and I couldn't even tell you their names, and they're really just there to be slaughtered in bathrooms or sleeping quarters at any given moment anyway. It should be noted that this New Year's shindig on this train is also a costume party, and that a killer has boarded as well. And after he kills them, he dons the costumes that they are wearing to assume their identity, and continues to do so until the end of the movie. Something I thought was a clever touch. The Groucho mask was definitely effective, and that's what we all know as the poster and the cover of the movie is the Groucho mask. I thought that was pretty creepy. There's also a magician on the train, played by a young, pre-creepy David Copperfield.
Do you believe in magic?
He's simply there as a red herring. He has an assistant who is a dead ringer for Jamie Lee Curtis. I swear it could have been her sister. It's not her sister. It's funny because the whole time I was watching this movie, I really just kind of felt like this character was added as filler. And upon doing some research, turns out this character was added as filler. Wasn't even in the original script. So anyway, in true Halloween fashion, everyone starts to get slaughtered until it's basically just Laurie Strode and Dr. Loomis. Alana, and Carney, the train conductor, played by Academy Award winner Ben Johnson, and they're trying to ward off the killer, who is exactly who we thought it was the entire time, but revealed to us in what is supposed to be a pseudo-shocking way that might have been a bit more shocking had I seen this on opening night in 1980. But even then, I don't know, but Sleepaway Camp did it better 3 years later. Anyway, considering most of the actors were unknown Canadians, I guess they did okay. But again, all of the actors here were literally put here to die. And like I said earlier, I couldn't even tell you anybody's names. I don't even remember Jamie Lee's name. I don't know if it was Alana, Elena, Alana. Jamie Lee was Jamie Lee Curtis. And let's be real, the only reason we're watching this movie is for Jamie Lee Curtis. And she does fine with what she's given. I mean, she's basically Laurie Strode again, which is every part she played in all of these movies, but with a different name. The Fog and Prom Night had both come out just a few months before this movie would come out. And out of all of those films, I would say this one is probably not the best. Call me a dick, but I'm not crazy about The Fog, and I know a lot of people really love The Fog, but I'm more of a Prom Night guy. If I had to rank all of her early horror films from best to worst, it would be Halloween, Prom Night, Halloween 2, The Fog, and Terror Train. I haven't seen Road Games, I've heard good things, and I love Stacy Keach because I know him personally and I love his wife, and I will watch Road Games eventually, but that's for another blog. As far as gore goes, this movie was pretty tame, and I wish there would have been more blood. I mean, I didn't expect a gore fest by any means because this was 1980, and prior to this, it was always suspense above gore. I mean, Black Christmas, goreless. Halloween, goreless. Prom Night had a decapitation, but aside from that, The Fog, no blood. And it's not to say there was no blood in this movie because it does get kind of red at times. I mean, we do get some stabbings, we do get a couple slit throats, but where it lacked in suspense, it definitely could have benefited from a couple more splashes of blood. And we didn't get that, and I wish we did. I do feel a little bit more blood would have livened things up a little bit, especially because there were so many people on this train. So yeah, to say I wanted a bit more from Terror Train is an understatement. To be fair, it's not a movie that is super talked about and hammed up in the horror community. It does have the same cinematographer as The Shining, and that is something I will give it props for because it is shot beautifully. All of the shots of the train going over water, those are all really nice. The art direction is fantastic. I didn't go into this movie expecting a lot. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it, and I really kind of wanted to like it. I think I wanted something special, and I didn't get that special something. I mean, I'll probably watch it again one day, maybe to show someone part of the Jamie Lee Curtis Scream Queen collection, but this is definitely the bottom of the barrel as far as that collection goes. It's just okay. And I heard there's a remake coming for the Tubi streaming services, so we have that to look forward to. And it's basically just a rip-off of everything that came before it. But honestly, Halloween and Prom Night did it a lot better. Jamie Lee was here for the paycheck, and I can guarantee you the paycheck was probably not that good. And hey, I'm just here for the review. So on Stanny Stab-O-Meter, I give this 2 stabs. And the 2 stabs are for the art direction, the Groucho Marx mask, and Jamie Lee Curtis, baby. So what about you guys? Did you see Terror Train? Do you plan to watch Terror Train? If you did, let me know what you think. If you plan to watch it, let me know what you think when you do. And guys, how would you rate Jamie Lee Curtis's early horror films? How would you rate the later horror films? How would you rate the Halloween films? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to know what you think. In the meantime, you guys have a safe and happy 4th. Thank you so much for watching this review. Feel free to go back into the vault and watch my previous reviews. I appreciate any sort of feedback. I'll see you soon.